Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, Part 11, Chapter 16, Medicos y Preservativos, Doctors and Condoms. When I first came to my part of Spain 20 years ago, it was largely undiscovered by British tourists, and my little village was even smaller then than it is now. There were only approximately 1,500 people on the electoral roll. It was in fact bigger than this, as there were many foreigners living here in the surrounding urbanizations, but they were largely unregistered in those days. Later, the building boom and the growing awareness of massive influx of guiris, which is an offensive term for foreigners, let's say, would change this. In those days, the local health centre here was run by two old school doctors, I would say. I knew one of them, Dr. Garcia, quite well, or I got to know him quite well, because I was offering an interpreter service and I took many people to see him. So many, in fact, that he even started to take me out on his house calls if they were British. And when I look back, I don't know if that was actually within the rules, but he would just ask me to go with him. He had a lovely deadpan sense of humour. And as an interpreter, true to my word, I had to repeat many a strange question to him, to which he would simply arch an eyebrow. I can't arch my eyebrows, but he would literally arch an eyebrow and reply expressionlessly. Oh, because people do have silly questions, I'm afraid. But that's what I was there for, to interpret their questions. I think many, let's say, older people then did not realise that Spain is not a third world country. It's, you were given food, meals when you're in hospital. They have better technology than the UK as far as, technology is concerned. It's state of the art here in Spain. They're one of the best health services in the world. And they didn't put leeches on you for everything. Anyway, I had quite a few uncomfortable appointments with Dr. Garcia, but I think the most memorable one was the day I took Doris. Again, not her real name. Doris was well into her 70s, if not 80s, and her boyfriend Jerry the same. Again, false names. One thing I've learned about medical interpreting is that often during the consultation, you become just part of the scenery and part of, like, a nurse or something. The patient looks on my clients, look on me as just part of the hospital environment. So patients or clients, male or female, happily strip off in front of you without drawing the curtain. And of course, they must tell you all the gory details of their condition. I think part of the reason I was so determined to learn Spanish when I came here was that I didn't want to ever have to go to the doctors for a personal thing, a personal type of illness, and have to relate it through an interpreter. Anyway, Doris's problem was quite personal. She related it to me while we were sat waiting to be called. Apparently, sex with Jerry had become a little uncomfortable, and it could be followed by mild blood spotting. Okay, so in we went, and I related Doris's problem to Dr. Garcia. I was embarrassed and blushing, but Doris was totally unfazed. Tell him as well, she said. I have no idea why this is happening, because Jerry's not very big. Okay. So I duly reported to the doctor what she had said, and his face never changed. Dr. Garcia's face was impassive. So the recommended treatment was a prescription for KY jelly and some special condoms. I explained this to Doris, and her last question was, can you ask him who puts the condom on, me or Jerry? So I duly did as she requested, and this time Dr. Garcia's mouth did twitch a little as he looked me directly in the eye and he said, tell her love is a beautiful thing and is a matter for two people. The person to put it on should be whoever seems natural at the time. Classic, and some very good advice from Dr. Garcia. Chapter 17. Another embarrassing moment for myself and my client, I think. Gynecology Spanish style. Ginecologia Española. So, Spain is a world leader in many medical procedures. I think most people that have had treatment here would agree that if they had to be ill anywhere, you have a better chance of recovery in Spain than anywhere else, or in many places. For medical care, you would be struggling to complain. But unfortunately, the TLC or tender loving care factor, along with bedside manner, probably not. Friends and family in Spain are supposed to do that. Here in Spain, they give you the best medical care. They use the state-of-art technology. The hospitals are spotlessly clean. You often have a private room with a shower, even though it's a social security hospital. Certainly no more than two in a room, maybe in the bigger cities, but no more than that. And they literally are like hospital rooms, hotel rooms. And the cleanliness is incredible. And the food, well, if you like Spanish food, obviously a lot of British people don't like Spanish food, but if you're adventurous with your food, you can't complain. But medical care is exemplary, but that's as far as it goes. Not TLC. The Spanish people tend to, their families come in, take shifts of, getting you a glass of water, helping you to the bathroom. And that's not to say that the nurses won't do it. If you don't have anyone to do that for you, there's a bell that you can ring and they'll come and do it. It's not they won't do it, but they won't come in and ask you if you're all right. You have to call for them. Also, there are charities. There's quite a lot of charities that go around hospitals, British charities, that translate for people and make sure they're okay and take them, the things that your family would normally do. But some people here, they don't have any family. So another thing that's become apparent to me, and this is true, over the years of interpreting and family use of the health service here, your privacy and personal dignity is not always respected. So that, leaving doors open while you're getting undressed, or, and there's like 10 people sat in the corridor outside. That is something, you have to look after your own dignity. They don't think about that. So yeah, doors are often left open while examinations take place, allowing people who are sitting outside to sort of go up in. If the door is closed, even staff often enter and leave the room without knocking, or consultants have inappropriate conversations with colleagues over the heads of patients. I've seen all these things at times. But I think the worst thing I ever saw was when I took Miriam to visit the gynecologist. Again, false names. Miriam was quite a timid lady, and I would imagine it was embarrassing enough to take a virtual stranger along to interpret a very personal examination. But at least I was a female, and I always was very discreet, but it still must have been difficult for her. The consultant was fortunately female also, and she was nice, and it all went well as Miriam was required to undress from the waist down and lie on the bed with her feet in the customary stirrups. The doctor donned a pair of latex gloves and the examination began. She was asking questions that I was relaying to Miriam and then back to the doctor with the answers. The doctor's right hand was fully inserted in Miriam's private area. Suddenly, a phone rang. It was the doctor's mobile, which was on the desk next to the examination table. The doctor looked at it to see who was calling. I thought, gosh, it must be really urgent, because incredibly, the doctor slowly extricated her hand from Miriam's fandango and gingerly picked up the mobile without removing the gloves that she was wearing, holding it with fingertips only, like she was holding it like this, like as if that, just on the edges. She pressed the button and held it to her ear like this. Hola, hijo, she said, which to those of you who don't know means, hi, son. A 5-minute long conversation ensued, which dealt mainly with what she was going to collect from the supermarket on the way home to cook for dinner. Maybe not as urgent as I had first thought. During this time, poor Miriam lay legs akimbo, and I tried to look anywhere else in the room except at her. Lunch menu sorted. The consultant replaced the phone on the table, reinserted her right hand into poor Miriam's fandango, and completed the examination. I just presume and hope that she did get a baby wipe or something similar to clean the mobile later. Okay, that's it. For this episode. See you in the next episode. I think you'll like the next episode too. And until I see you then, may your God go with you.